Hi, I'm Matt Hoffman, and this is the Bub and Pop podcast where we talk about music, careers in music, life, the universe, and everything. Our guest today is Jeff Mann. You probably know Jeff as the drummer from Consider the Source, a Middle Eastern art rock, jazz rock, fusion. Words fail me to describe this band, but they're awesome. Jeff also sometimes plays in a duo called Learn to Ween that plays all Ween tunes, which really speaks to my heart and soul. And Jeff is currently playing original music in a trio with our past guest, Anton Milioti, and Brian Elliot. Jeff has been playing with Consider the Source for a long time, but he wasn't their original drummer. So we talk about how he came to get that gig, what it was like to join a band that was already a going concern, and what it's been like to put his own stamp on things over time. You wouldn't necessarily know it, given how heavy Consider the Source's music is, but Jeff is one of the nicest guys you could ever hope to meet, and it was really a pleasure having this conversation with him, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Jeff, happy to have you here. Thanks very much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
So my first question for you is, where the hell did you come from as a drummer, right? Like, I see you've got two arms, two legs here, but tell me about your kind of journey before joining Consider the Source.
Sure. Drumming was always something I was really interested in, and my first instrument. So I never had the young kid piano classes or anything like that. Just started with the drums, and I think I started around second or third grade age, whatever age that is. And my parents and grandma pitched in and got me a drum set and started with some local drum teachers and stuff. And I was really lucky actually to have a couple good teachers in the area local early on that were my very first teacher was funny because he was kind of a little bit of everything, guitar, piano, drums, bass, whatever. And I think drums was the lowest on that totem pole. But after that music teacher, I found some really great drum teachers in the area, and they set me kind of right as far as hitting some books and learning how to read and all that sort of stuff, and then got into playing in the school programs. But yeah, kind of just started with school stuff, and at a certain age, I started getting into weirder music and listening to just less stuff that was other than what was on the radio, and getting really into just drummer music kind of, and nerding out. And then I was like, okay, this is my thing. I love drums. I'm all in.
What had you been listening to, and what was some of the weirder music, and what do you feel like is the bridge between the two?
Well, it's funny because I was just a kid. We were all kids. And when you're a kid, sometimes you just, whatever's the music of kids. So I wasn't a huge fan, or wasn't what I was into necessarily, but it was Bop,
oh sure,
and Spice Girls, and this was things that were happening,
yeah.
And these were songs that were fun, and I didn't hate them because I was very young and it was songs. But I was really lucky to have, my dad had a great record collection and listened to a lot of, interestingly enough, as a non-musician, a lot of fusion-y kind of music in addition to other stuff. So he had some records by Al Di Meola, with Steve Gadd on drums, and that was before I even played drums, I was listening to that music. His favorite band is Emerson, Lake and Palmer, so I was running around in my underwear as a kid, hearing Carl Palmer play drum solos and just freaking out. So I had some of that music in my life of not necessarily the radio stuff, but yeah, I was just kind of also a regular kid, and whatever kids liked, what was popular, I was into. But yeah, once I grew up in the era, I think we grew up in the era of Walkmans,
yeah,
and headphones. And there became a time where you had if you were into music, you had a very personal relationship with your Walkman, sure, and your CD collection.
The tape player, the CD player.
Yep. Cassettes, started with cassettes, got to CDs. But when I started, I think, buying my own music and listening and searching for things, that's when it kind of I was I don't really need to, this song on the radio is cool, but I don't need the Spice Girls record. MTV was big. Yeah. It was just whatever was on, I was not I wasn't digging deep into those artists, but it was fine. But at a certain age, I think I started becoming a little more rebellious of like, all right, I'm at the age now where like I know what I like, and I don't necessarily like all the boy bands.
Sure. Well, so what was one of those first kind of off the beaten path bands that really grabbed you?
Well, it's funny. The first concert that I went to that was like a real concert was, like I said, my dad was really into Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and they used to tour at the time, and he took me to an Emerson, Lake and Palmer concert.
Wow.
I think I was 12 years old, and the lineup, it was Deep Purple was the headliner. Mm-hmm. Emerson, Lake and Palmer was the second of three, and Dream Theater was the first opening band. And I had, at the time, it was like one of my favorite things was I had a subscription to Modern Drummer magazine, and I used to get an issue in the month an issue in the mail every month, and come off the school bus. And those days you'd get the mail and be like, yeah, it's Modern Drummer Day. This is amazing. And I'd never really heard of Dream Theater aside from at the concert recognizing their like artwork and their merch. Like, oh, I think I remember seeing that like advertised or like reviewed in the magazine or something. And I didn't even necessarily love their set, but that summer I went to sleepaway camp, and I had a counselor from Brazil. We had like a lot of international staff, and I was flipping through his CD book, and he had like a page of Dream Theater CDs. And I was like, oh, Dream Theater. I saw them. And he was just like, you saw Dream Theater? They never play where I'm from. This is how'd you? And I was like, so I started borrowing his CDs. I was like, can I listen to all these? And he had like, he had all these albums that was like Iron Maiden, Dream Theater, Queensryche, Metallica. And not everything was like necessarily, what I was into, but it was cool to see an older person and get like this kind of hand-me-down collection. I started listening to Dream Theater, and then they had a side project kind of thing called Liquid Tension Experiment that was like an instrumental version of that band. But I kind of became obsessed with that band for a couple of years. And a fun thing about what they did was the drummer Mike Portnoy on his website, I don't know if it was the band, I think it was just his website, he had a page of influences. He listed his favorite books, his favorite movies, and his favorite albums. And I would just be like, I never heard of this artist. Let me check it out. That led me to like, I'd heard of Frank Zappa, but I never listened. Let me check out some Frank Zappa. And I was like, this is awesome. I'm digging this. It's hilarious. The music's really like high level. And then I saw he had also like listed Mr. Bungle. And I was like, let me check out this band, Mr. Bungle. And I was like, this is awesome. And that stuff really excited me, kind of like digging into a lot more kind of like artsy music, I guess, for lack of better words.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, and how do you go about learning that as a kid, particularly pre-YouTube?
Well, that was the thing. It was cool. Like the internet was like, now I think when people, myself at least, when you use the internet, you kind of have like your go-to things. But like we had the term like surf the web.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You would just kind of go on and like explore, look around. So it was totally like, you didn't have as many distractions or as many things to do with your phone or with that, whatever, all that sort of stuff. So if I was an artist I liked, I would look it up. I would check out their influences. I would look it up. I would listen to stuff. I used to also just go to like the library near me. They had like a jazz collection of CDs and classical CDs and like rock and pop CDs. And I had my library card. I would just, if I heard of an artist like Thelonious Monk, I've heard that name, let me check this out, and take out CDs. And if it was cool, I'd rip it on my laptop and start to get my own like iTunes music collection going. But yeah, it was really just like, it was exciting for me to find new music for sure. I used to love flipping through CDs in a used CD store, and I've heard of this artist, and this album, I've seen someone mention this, and I never heard it. Let me grab that. And like, I have a huge CD collection. I just love listening to lots of sorts of styles of music. It's kind of been exciting for me to find stuff, especially in those earlier years when, as a young like musician or music lover, like a lot of stuff is new to you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, right. You know, you
Like
do
brand new.
yeah. Well, and that's the other cool thing about, you know, I mean, you could do it with like Columbia House's buy one, get 12 free deal. And then my freshman year of college was when Napster first came out. And it's like sidestepping any IP considerations there.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a fraught issue. It was like, oh, wow, I can get anything and everything. Like, this is awesome.
Speaking of that, I remember like setting a couple things to download before going to school because it would be so slow. Going to school and all day being excited for like, I can't wait to go home and listen to this thing that's going to be done downloading. Like,
right. But then like there were all the mislabeling. So it's like, oh, fish doing gin and juice.
Yes, that was a classic
fish.
one, of course.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was, I mean, it was a great time to kind of get exposed to a lot of that stuff. What do you think kind of led you to the drums, or maybe led your parents to, you know, encourage you to do that? You mentioning your dad isn't a musician, but he's a fan.
Yeah. So I think he's a big part of it. It hasn't been like a huge part of like our family story or stuff I've heard about my dad, but my grandma's told me, and then he's never really been too like forthcoming with it, I guess, but that he wanted to be a drummer. But they lived in an apartment, they never had space for it, et cetera, et cetera. I think my grandma's told me that at one point he had drumsticks and he used to like keep them nearby, sometimes sleep with them. So he always loved the drums. Like I said, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, he loved, and Carl Palmer had this huge drum set and he was always excited about that. He loves a lot of other instruments too, but I think he had a special little something about him. He loved drumming and stuff, but never played. And then, yeah, when he would play music in the house, sometimes I like a lot of classic stories. The Pots and Pans came out, and some wooden spoons, and you know, I think they got a little light bulb of like, oh, this kid seems like he likes hitting stuff rhythmically, or trying to at least. And then a big part of the story too is my mom. I'll get her involved. She loves shopping, buying things, but especially like deals, like finding things in like a flea market or like a garage sale and stuff like that. And she was flipping through the newspaper and saw an ad for a drum set for sale and thought, oh, this is a really good price. It's not that bad. I want to say it was like $200 or something. And then like hit on my grandma, was like, we'll throw 100, you throw 100. Let's get this boy some drums.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that kind of online shopping aspect of it, because my understanding is that kind of looking around online was part of what led you to the gig with Consider the Source, right?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me about that?
The old Craigslist. Thank you, Craig. Yeah, so it's pretty hilarious. But I knew about Consider the Source from my time going to college. I went to school at SUNY Oneonta in upstate New York. And that was one of the first college towns or places outside of New York City they started touring. They used to play in like Albany, and that Oneonta is about like an hour and a half from Albany. So from New York City, they would do little trips here and there. And I lived in a house in college that was 2 floors, and the friends of ours who lived upstairs booked the local venue. And one day they came home late at night or the next morning, and he said, man, we had this band last night, Consider the Source. They were amazing. It was so cool. I got to burn you a CD. I got a copy of their CD. I got to make you a copy. Made me a copy of the CD. I was like, oh, wow, this is a really cool band. I'll have to try and check them out next time they're in town. They play in town again, and I would have something where I would be away and I couldn't see them, whatever. But I knew who they were. I checked out their CD, and fast forward a couple of years after I graduate, I'm on Craigslist looking for gigs, doing like singer-songwriter stuff, picking up wedding gigs, some original music, just whatever. And I'm on Craigslist seeing what the internet has to offer, and I see an ad that says something like instrumental band seeks like drummer. We play odd time rhythms. We've toured to Israel and like Turkey, and we mix in world music with rock and jazz, like whatever. But it didn't say the band name. So I wrote back saying like, hey, my name's Jeff. I'm a drummer in New Jersey. Here's like the links to some stuff, blah, blah. By the way, is this Consider the Source? And then they wrote back saying like, yes, it is. I was like, I know this can only sounds like one band to me. It has to be Consider the Source. So yeah, that led me to hitting them up for an audition. And long story short, I was doing a little bit of touring at the time, and the weekends they were auditioning like I wasn't around for, so they kind of like scheduled me at the end. And when I went to that audition, they said, it was really, really great meeting you, great playing. Unfortunately, we have gigs that we had to fill a drummer for already on the calendar. You're the very last drummer to audition, so we've already told someone to start learning the material, and we're going to have them playing because we just couldn't wait this long to have someone learn the material. But we didn't want to blow you off and tell you not to come out, so, thanks, whatever. And I was like, all right, that's all good. And also, just a fun fact, that audition was in Dopapod's rehearsal studio.
Oh, wow.
Brooklyn.
And okay.
Because Consider the Source didn't have a space, and they were really good friends with Dopapod, and they had just been borrowing friends' spaces to audition drummers. So that was in Dopapod's space. So I was like, all right, great to meet you guys. And I kind of like went with like, cool, I have this story about the time I got to audition with jam with Consider the Source and audition for them in Dopapod's space. Like, that was really fun. That was really cool. And that was just it. I saw they had a new drummer, and I was like kind of seeing they had tour dates. I was like, awesome, great for that guy. I'll like keep an eye on them. I'll try and see them when they come around. Never expected a couple months later, they called me and they were just like, hey, this guy's not really working out. We're going to do another round of auditions. Are you interested? Are you still available? Are you still interested? And I was like, yeah. And then it came together. So for a minute there, it was just kind of like, got to jam with those guys once. It was really awesome. Didn't expect to be, I think now, playing with them like 13 years or so.
Yeah. Wow. Now, had you been playing that style of music? I mean, it's almost like, how do you even define the style? But like, what kind of stuff had you been playing in bands prior to that?
Yeah, so it's pretty like awesome how it all lined up, because Consider the Source was kind of like the band I like dreamed of being in, but I was doing other stuff that was fine. But I always felt like there was, like, this is cool, but I wish I could play something that was a little more challenging, or a little more interesting, whatever. I had a drum teacher. One more thing I'll just mention about a drum teacher is towards the end of high school, one of my other favorite bands, in addition to like Dream Theater, is this band called Symphony X, another like prog rock metal band. And I found out just talking to a friend in school that her brother was taking drum lessons with their drummer. So I got to take drum lessons with that drummer for a year and a half or two, and he definitely upped my game on some of the, just like, he tore me down. He's like, I had already been playing for maybe 6 or 7 years, studied with a bunch of teachers, playing like the jazz band in school, all this sort of stuff. And he was like, great, we're going to start from the beginning. Like, you hold your sticks like this, we're going to change the way you hold them. And we're going to start with relearning everything like this. And I was like, oh my God. And he retaught me to make sure I had good fundamentals and stuff, and then pushed a lot of my abilities towards some more of that like world music and Latin beats and progressive rock also. So that was really helpful, having a teacher that kind of took it to the next level. But as far as playing wise, I was always into like a lot of progressive music. So I was playing a lot of odd time music, and I had a band in high school that was called Omnia. That was like, we were all like Dream Theater nerds and playing like progressive rock and metal kind of stuff. I was doing a lot of other stuff though also. So the kind of music I really like playing, and I'm really excited about a lot of times, is like kind of more challenging technical music. Not that it has to be, but I love like the challenge of like overcoming of, something like, I couldn't do this in the drums and now I can. So I was really into that and like challenging music. And then I realized after college, like, there's not necessarily money or work all over the place doing that sort of thing. So I switched my focus from like trying to do things that were more challenging to like really honing in on the basics, like playing to a metronome, making sure time was feeling good, all this stuff, just, tone, dialing and tuning the drums, all this other like other stuff that would be more applicable to playing in like a singer-songwriter situation or something. Like I was saying, after a while though, I was kind of like yearning for more, and I found a project through some friends we started It was a guitar player named Alexis Pareja. I went to college with for 1 year, and William Patterson. He's a guitar player in a band called The Number 12 Looks Like You, who's a crazy like metal band that would like tour with like Dillinger Escape Plan. They're that kind of thing, like jumping off amps, running around, smashing stuff, whatever. And I had another friend at the time named Dave Reese, a bass player. I was a roommate I was living with, and Alexis's band went on break. They were on hiatus, and we were all kind of wanted to do something different than like the other projects we were doing. So we got together and we're like, every Sunday we're gonna have writing sessions. We're not trying to like learn songs and do a gig. We're not trying to like fill time. We just want to have a space to be creative and like write. And we put together a band called Voyeurs Kaleidoscope, and we recorded an album all instrumental. And looking back on it, it's kind of the stepping stone between like less crazy music to like Consider the Source. It kind of like bridges the gap. We were doing some world music. There's some like Indian sounding stuff on there, some time stuff, but it was kind of the first thing in a bunch of years that was not just like filling in a hired gun kind of gig thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was the first thing of like, oh cool, I can be creative and like do some more like some more interesting music, or just try and be more creative. So that was really cool because it kind of like, if I hadn't done that, I maybe wouldn't have been in the right shape or mindset to like jump into Consider the Source. But that kind of like took me off the track of like just focusing on like timing and like playing simple really well kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Did you study music in college? And
I did. I did a program that was music industry.
Oh, cool.
And another thing, actually, I'll mention that was really helpful there. That I did a lot of ensembles. I did like a funk band. I did the jazz ensemble, but they also have a Frank Zappa ensemble.
Wow.
So I took like a year and a half for credits of like rehearsing Frank Zappa. And the professor, the teacher of that class, played the role of Frank Zappa.
Wow.
So he'd be like on stage saying all these lewd things. Like, this is my teacher. This is amazing.
Who's your favorite Zappa drummer?
Oh man, it's so funny. People ask me sometimes like, who are some of your biggest influences? I'll just say like the Zappa drummers, because there's so many. But I love Terry Bozzio. He was one of the first ones I got really excited about. He's incredibly technical and like does all this crazy stuff, but it's a little more digestible than some of the other things. Like I got really into Vinny Colaiuta, but some of his stuff I'll listen to and it's just like, where is the beat? What is happening? And it's all amazing, but I have to like listen to it over and over and over and over and like break it down to understand some of what's happening. Terry Bozzio's stuff was a little more just like, this is cool. I can try and like replicate some of this now.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that, you know, like Zappa wrote the Black Page, basically being like, try playing this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I think Trey supposedly did the same thing with maybe Limb by Limb for Fishman. It's like, I'm going to program a beat that no human can play.
I think I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
And I've seen Terry Bozzio do like a drum clinic. I think he played the Black Page at it. It was hilarious. It was at a Guitar Center in North Jersey, and he had this crazy huge drum set, like insane, with like at least I think like 2 people building it, and like the building and tearing down of the drum set was like longer than the clinic because it was just so much.
Well, yeah, like 70s and 80s, it was just like the answer was always yes to more drums, right? Like, and my favorite band of all time is Van Halen.
Nice.
And like, I think it's easy to overlook Alex Van Halen, but he's a fucking badass drummer beyond having like 75 rototoms. He's like, I think there's a lot there.
The Hot for Teacher drums and intro is still like that's really hard to play.
Yeah.
I never really like tried to figure it out. And then I had a student a couple years ago that was like, it was right when Eddie Van Halen passed away, and we went into like a little Van Halen mode.
Yeah.
And we like worked on that together, and I was like, whoa, I never really dug into this. This is hard.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even, I mean, I'm a hack drummer on a good day, but I could not even conceptualize how to play that. Well, so in addition to Consider the Source, I know that you've got a Ween side project, or at least have had it in the past. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. That's really special. It's on hiatus right now, but hopefully it comes back soon. It's a duo Ween tribute. So Ween's an interesting thing in like my musical life. I never really got too into them. Younger, I never knew more than just a couple songs. But my wife is a huge Ween fan. Wow. And when we started dating, got me more into their music, and she had never seen them live. And the first Ween show we ever went to was at, where is it? On the Water Pens.
Festival Pier.
Festival Pier.
Yeah.
Is that Festival Pier?
2016.
2016.
Yeah.
I was gonna give you a chance to get it.
I was talking about that show literally 2 days ago with friends. Yeah.
So that was my first time seeing Ween, and it was awesome, but I didn't expect that they would play like 30 songs.
Yeah.
So I'm going into it like, oh, cool. I know some Ween songs, and then it's like almost all the songs I don't know, and it's like I kind of felt like an outsider on an inside joke, but I was like, this is really cool. I'm digging this, and then listened to more music, saw them again. I'm like, now I'm in. I'm hooked. Me and my wife, we went to Red Rocks to see them. We've done some little road trips to see them, but it's kind of like a thing we have. So musically, I play some other instruments. Drums is the only instrument that I really take like seriously, like in a really dedicated way of like working through books and like, really trying to take that to that like a pretty high level. But I have a bunch of other instruments I play, more of a hobbyist, which are just kind of a release for me and fun. And I'm chipping away, but I play some bass, I play some guitar, and in becoming a fan of Ween, I was like, wow, these songs are like really approachable as like a mediocre level guitar player. So I was like, the first guitar solo I learned was like a Ween song. Like I started learning a lot of strumming of their chords and stuff. And I'm like, cool, this is a band where I can like learn a lot of their songs, as opposed to listening to other music I like where it's like, I'm never going to learn how to shred that solo.
Yeah. Do you remember the solo or the tune?
I think it's Don't Shit Where You Eat. It's a really slow.
Yeah.
Ba-dum.
Right. It's not a Tear for Eddie. I was like, maybe
no, but I want to learn. I want to learn Tear for Eddie.
Oh yeah.
So I started getting really into Ween and playing some of their music, and I moved to the area down in South Jersey, and I've been living there for like just a year or so or two. I don't even know. And I'm just walking in the street, and I see a sticker on the back of a stop sign or something that just says "Learn to Ween," and in learning Ween songs, I had discovered a YouTube channel called Learn to Ween. And it's this guy who has a really quirky, awesome personality, really well put together videos with like some tabs and some stuff, and makes it really, really fun and hilarious to learn Ween songs. So I just like I take a picture of it, I tag it in this story on Instagram, and I'm like, saw a Learn to Ween sticker in my town. Like, I've totally learned songs from this guy. So he wrote me back and said like, where did you see that? And I was like, on this street. And he's like, no way. I was like, yeah, I live right here. And turns out he lives like around the corner from me, less than 5 minutes away.
Wow.
So I'm like, we need to get together and jam some Ween. So we get together and talk, but I kind of had this master plan going in where, like I said, I've been chipping away at some other instruments, and I have a looper pedal that I got and I started working with. And Ween is a full band. It's 2 founding members, and then they have 3 other members that fill out the band. But originally it was just a duo, and they would play to like backing tracks kind of thing.
Yeah, and the drum machines.
Yeah. So I was like, I have this idea that if we just do the 2 of us and I loop, if you play guitar, then I can I can loop the drums and play bass and like do some keys, and we can do like a 2-man Ween thing. Only catch is I don't sing, do you sing? And he's like, I don't sing, I was hoping you sing. So anyway, turns out he's a much better singer than me, so he became kind of like the lead singer, and I actually got pretty good singing. We got the group together and we did some shows in the area, and had the crazy just like kind of thing happen where we were really excited to go see Ween play the 30th anniversary show in Philly of Chocolate and Cheese. Me and my wife had tickets.
I was set to review that for Jam Bass.
He had tickets. We were all really excited, and they canceled for good reason, due to Diener's need some little mental health break. But we scrambled, and we were like, we have all these Ween fans that have hotel rooms. They're planning on coming to the area. They all have this date on their calendar. Can we put together like a big show and like kind of save the Ween fans, calendar date? Don't have to go bowling or something instead. So we were able to scramble, and we did. It was the biggest show of our career, the biggest show we'll ever have. But we played World Cafe live in Philly.
Wow.
It was just the two of us and no opening band.
What was that, upstairs or downstairs?
Downstairs.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, man.
We pulled it together last minute, and that will forever be probably the highlight of our career. We had lots of Ween fans singing along, and it was a really cool vibe. We played some other shows, I think just maybe like 2 after that, and then we've just been on break since. But that was really special and fun to me because I'm not playing any drum set. I have like the Roland sample electronic pad, and I'm just standing and playing that and standing. And as a drummer, I've gotten very comfortable on stage, hiding behind my wall of drums and cymbals and having a nice barrier between me and the people. And for the first time, I was like standing up front and singing some background vocals and general stuff. So it was really different for me, but also like really, really refreshing, because after so many years of playing drums and drums and drums and drums, now it's the first time we're on stage and I'm like playing more bass than drums and like doing some other stuff. So I'm really happy to be doing stuff like that. It's a hobby that's kind of becoming a little more serious, but it's a different relationship than I have with the drums, but also doing the Ween music. It's a different relationship I have with Consider the Source music.
Oh yeah.
It's not nearly as serious.
Yeah. Well, and like there are so many, Ween is just such a perfect storm of like everything. I mean, first off, like the Godween Satan, like I mean, I didn't hear that probably till I was in my 30s, but like I was a chocolate and cheese guy too as a teenager. I just remember the album cover as a teenager.
Yeah.
It's like they've always just been so uniquely themselves, going from like two kids fucking around. Then you get to the Mollusk and it's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, and Jeaner's got it. I mean, I could talk about them all day.
Me too. But yeah, I appreciate their, like, it's similar to like Zappa in the sense of like there's no like genre boundaries. It's just like just make music, go in any direction. It's really like all over the place.
What I would ask, what's your favorite album? But if someone were to ask me that, I feel like the answer would change over time. What's your favorite album right now?
Of Ween, I'd say the Mollusk.
That's the one I've been listening to.
I think
the most.
it is. It's just as a whole piece, it's just really nice. But I love a lot of their records. And to what you were saying too, is there's so much music of theirs that I'm always discovering new stuff. Like there's some stuff that I don't even know. I just discovered kind of the story behind the song they have called "Where'd the Cheese Go?" Do you know about this?
The Pizza Hut thing?
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
It was a Pizza Hut thing.
And in case listeners don't know, you want to tell the story?
Sure. So I guess it's that Pizza Hut, somebody at Pizza Hut thought it was a good idea to hire Ween to write a commercial jingle for them.
For their stuffed crust pizza,
Yeah,
right?
so it was pizza where I think what they did is this was maybe even before stuffed crust. I think what they were doing was they were taking like pizza dough, right, rolling out a whole pizza, putting a layer of cheese, and then another piece of dough on top of it, and then like the sauce. So their song was called "Where'd the Cheese Go?" because it's like hidden between the bread. But basically, legend has it that they sent back like multiple versions. They got to like a 5th version of like here's the song, and they were like, no, it's not good. We need another version. And then they just basically sent back like that same version with just like adding like tons of curses.
Where'd the motherfucking cheese
Yeah, where'd the
go?
motherfucking cheese go? Hey bitch, where'd the fucking cheese go? It's hilarious, but they were just like, we're done.
Oh, I love that stuff. Well, and there's also, do you know the Mollusk SpongeBob connection?
I do, and I didn't know about that until seeing them in Philly. They did like a little tribute where they spoke about I just heard the name. Do you know the name of the creator of SpongeBob?
I know Tom Kenny is the voice, but I don't think he's the creator.
I forget. I don't know that. I just heard it, like I was listening about this week. But yeah, they played in Philly and told the story about how he wrote them and said that their album, The Mollusk, is all themed underwater, and he wanted to do an underwater themed TV show. But yeah, they did like a little tribute of SpongeBob related songs.
That's super cool. Yeah, I was actually surprised. So, iTunes gave me my like 2025 most listened to music, and Ween was the thing I listened to the most, which like and it was not even close. Like the next closest thing was like half as much.
Yeah.
And even that was a lot. I was like, wow, I guess I listened to, like, last year was a big Quebec year for me.
I love that one.
White Pepper's always in the, I mean, it's all just always in the rotation. Do you know Keith Kenny?
Yes, I do.
So Keith, while you were playing at World Cafe, I was seeing Keith at John and Peter's, who did the same exact thing you were talking about.
We were talking about maybe linking up for a show together.
Oh, Keith, he's amazing.
And I know Keith because we both are Jersey guys. We came up in Central Jersey and we had a mutual friend, and I got to like jam at his house when I was like 20.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Like met him like really young, like jammed once. We kind of kept an eye on him since.
Have you, so we put out an album last year with a group called Metal 6000 with a handful of other like New Hope musician guys. And it's basically all tunes that he wrote as a teenager in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So like, just the lyrics hit me so hard and the music resonates so hard, because I remember being like a perfectly normal suburban teenager who's just like, I don't know, angry with shit for no reason and like disaffected for no reason and whatever. And like the lyrics, it's just like, it's amazing. I'll send you a link to it later.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, Keith's
really
amazing.
good.
He's incredibly talented.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I know you're also working on a project now with Anton Milioti,
Yes.
more original music that you guys are doing. Is that right?
Yeah. That's really cool. It's just kind of started from this guitar player named Brian Elliot in the area. It was just a gig that they had together. It was just Brian Elliott band, and Anton was playing bass, and they needed a drummer, and I guess Anton recommended me. And it was one of those kind of cool instances where there was just a list of songs, and it's like, hey, here's the date of the gig, here's the songs, and I'll see you there. And like literally just like met Brian like half an hour before playing, like, hey man, nice to meet you. Fun, looking forward to playing. I'll set up over here. Is that cool? Like, yeah, you're good. And I'd played a couple times with Anton, not a ton, but a couple times with him. But yeah, we just started playing, going through the tunes of the first gig, and it felt really good. And that was all just no originals at that point. It was just jazz funk kind of standards, getting into some Medeski, Martin and Wood and Soul Live and all that good stuff, which is also a really big influence on me. But we've only done a couple gigs, but quickly into it, we started to talk like, let's get some originals in the mix. It's cool doing these funk standards, but let's see if we can write some stuff. If everyone kind of contributes a little, we can start to do that. So we had our first rehearsal this week. We've just been kind of getting together and playing a couple gigs, but now we're starting to work on stuff. So we had a rehearsal. A couple people brought tunes to the table and worked on some ideas. And we have a gig coming up. I don't know. It'll probably already passed by the time this is released, but we're going to start playing those songs and then plan to get some recordings going.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah.
Have you brought tunes or kind of parts to that?
I haven't brought tunes. Okay. It's funny because I've always wanted to write, and I've only ever really written like ideas. It's still every year it's kind of like a New Year's resolution of like write a song, but I think with this group it might be the time.
Yeah.
Try and bring some stuff to the mix.
All instrumental?
Yeah, it's all. So far, it's all instrumental. Some of the covers Brian's singing, and Brian has a really, really beautiful voice. He's a really good singer. I've played in a bunch of groups where people were singing kind of just to check off the box of having vocals. Mm-hmm. But Brian's more than that. He's a really, really talented singer, and we haven't done anything with vocals yet originally, but we've done some songs, some of the covers, and I'm open to it. I think we're probably going to dabble in some mixing some vocals in. Yeah,
that's super cool. I've never been a songwriter either. Like, guitar's my main instrument, and I'm just sort of like a flourish and flair guy. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, I'm not going to make you cry with my lead work. I might make you cry with my singing, but not for the right reason. But I'll sort of add a little kind of shimmer to the whole thing. That's what I go for. So anytime I've played in bands, it's like someone else will kind of handle the songwriting duties and hopefully, do a passable job.
Yeah.
What else haven't we talked about? Anything else you want to talk about for now? I feel like we could talk a lot more, so I would like to have you back at some point.
Well, I'll share an interesting thing that's kind of new for me.
Please.
My newest thing that I'm doing is I just started a 2-year program to get certified as a music therapist.
Whoa.
So I'm doing this over at Rowan University.
Oh, cool.
This is my new jam.
How'd that come to happen?
It's been something I've been interested in, and I applied and got accepted in 2021. But the program is like a mix of online and in person. And at the time, I wasn't available enough to be there. I was a little too busy, had a lot of stuff going on. And now, a couple of years since then, things have slowed down. Consider the Source, we're still touring. But basically, since COVID, we've slowed down and we're not doing like month-long tours anymore. We're doing a lot of weekend runs and stuff. So I re-looked at my schedule and stuff and talked to the band and everyone else and was like, I think I can make this work now and still fit everything in. But it's been really exciting. I just finished a semester of piano class, a semester of guitar class, and then some other like therapy-related classes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really fun. It's exciting to have something new in the mix.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Can you, when you say music therapy, I have a lot of different ideas of
Sure.
what you mean. How would you summarize it for someone who's not familiar?
Yeah. So basically it's sort of using music to meet non-musical goals that are like in some way health related, physically or mentally. So it could be, somebody who had a stroke and they're working on regaining, movement skills and stuff like that. You might use certain instruments to have them move in certain directions or use their body or certain sides of their body. Or I think looks like I'm going to be, one of the parts of the program is getting a lot of clinical hours. So it looks like I'm going to be placed in a school for children with autism and doing mostly percussion-based music with them, I think.
Yeah.
So a lot of like behavior and like direction listening and stuff like that, but also just the benefits of music. There's tons of benefits. One thing that's really interesting, I've been learning about it and it's really new to me, so I'm like, I could regurgitate all the things I've learned, but some of the things I've learned that have been cool were like in the NICU, playing music to premature birth children to help slow their heart rate down. Because they're so small and so tiny, when they move or cry or become agitated, they'll just burn more calories than they kind of can afford. So they'll have someone come in and like sing to them softly and play guitar or something like acoustic, and you can see their heart rate going down and they're calming the baby down. A lot of people who can't communicate, if they're nonverbal, they can use music to kind of communicate or to have like kind of more activities they can do. I could keep talking about Sons, but I'm excited to get into it. The program is a mix of classes and working, so I'm about to start being placed in this school one day a week to work a little bit. But it's been great balancing it all with the band. We've been able to do shows on the weekends, and the schoolwork is all kind of Monday to Thursday. Mm-hmm. And the program is built for people who already have a degree and are professionals, so it's kind of like it's you don't have to be on campus every day kind of thing. But I absolutely loved being forced, or not forced, but have the opportunity to be going through a program for like guitar and piano, because like I said, I've been chipping away on those instruments on my own at a very slow rate. And then I jumped into these classes, and now it's like, you've been going like this, and now we're going to go like this.
Nice. The
like,
hockey
yeah,
stick.
this is what I needed. This is what I needed to push.
That's super cool.
So that's been really, really fun and new. And I hope to incorporate like all those skills in my own like music. I do some like looping and stuff. So now I'll hopefully have more stuff to say on the piano. And
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. There's so much more I want to talk about, but I don't think we have the time to. Would love to have you back on at another point.
Yeah.
But dude, thanks so much. This was great. I really
Thank you,
enjoyed
Matt.
talking to you.